defensively, once again, they haven't played a great first half since the New Orleans Saints back in the second round of the playoffs. That was the best half I've seen of them against a playoff team in a while. But what they did last night, I mean, Jared Goff throwing 5 touchdowns, throwing the bombs. And I'm not going to do nothing. Now, let me tell you something. The Rams at the same time, the Rams did do much better last night themselves. Trust me, that's my defense for fantasy. I expected them to do a little bit better than what they did. They had 2 plus 100-yard receivers in Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen last night. So I was a little upset about that because I'm like, well, damn, I got two dudes because I had to play my buddy last night. He had both of them on the squad. And I'm looking like, well, damn, I got 2 guys who one guy I think had like 150 yards in receiving yards, and the other one had like 135. I'm like, how can you stop this? Y'all getting beat by two guys. That's it, 2 guys. You're getting beat by 2 guys. But it look like nowadays, that's the kind of formula. It's a 2-man game when it comes to the offensive systems. But I'm not going to get on that right now. If you ask me, I think that the Minnesota Vikings are still heartbroken that they couldn't get back they couldn't get to the Super Bowl last year when they got smashed by Philadelphia. Now, is Kirk Cousins the answer? Now, Kirk was throwing that ball last night. I can't sit here and lie. I think they got some suspect pieces to say how much credit we give this defense. I think they got some suspect pieces on defense. Now, test 1, you failed. And what I mean by that is you play the Rams. Now, remember, Rams, Eagles, and Saints. Keep that in mind. You play the Eagles next week, and you got the Saints coming up about, I think, like another 3 weeks or something like that. Rams, Eagles, and Saints. Now, when you think about them 3 teams, all 3 teams was in the mix for sure to say that they had a shot to get to the Super Bowl this year. Rams, Eagles, and Saints. You lost to the Rams. Now you got the Eagles this week. I don't think you beat the Eagles next week. It's not about to happen. I don't think you have, especially if Wentz gained more confidence this week and then going into next Sunday, I don't think you beat the Eagles. Now you got the Saints. A team that's coming on their mind in a few weeks to go back to Minnesota. They're going to have it on their minds. For the fact of the matter is, they know what happened, and they know the fans are going to go in there and troll them for what happened last year. You beat the Saints in the same calendar year, football calendar year. The week 1, and you beat them week 1, and you beat them to end their season last year. If you don't get it together, I think the Saints are going to run you out the building. Even with this suspect defense they have. Because, well, let me take that back. No, I'm talking more as a fan. I'm not talking as a reporter. I'm talking more as a fan. Let me take that back. If you don't get it together, I think Drew Brees is going to have enough pieces around him. Because then remember, Mark Ingram going to be back. I think we're going to start seeing more Cam Meredith involved in the offense. People like Traquan Smith and Austin Carr going to make a bigger difference when you got a game plan around them extra pieces that he have. I think to a degree, Minnesota going to find themselves defensively having a hard time to cover all that. And they're going to put more pressure on their offense to go tit for tat scoring with New Orleans. And they probably can do it, but I don't think they can do it like New Orleans can do it. So let me rephrase it like that. I think the Rams are not in a good spot. And with the Packers playing this weekend, I got to look at the schedule. I don't have it from me right now. Excuse me. With the Packers playing this weekend, Green Bay find themselves at 2-1. Oh, wait, will it be what? 2-1-1, I believe. 2-1-1. And the Rams find themselves at 1-2-1. Potentially looking at 1-3-1 going forward. I don't think the Rams is going to be a lot to overcome early, especially if the Bears continue to win and the Lions find themselves jumping back in the mix. Remember, I talked about the Lions. They one of them teams that just finds themselves in a lot of tight games, and they put themselves in the mix of the division. And with the surprise of the Chicago Bears, if they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it would be find themselves at 3-1. You really find yourself in the hole after the first quarter of the season going into October next Sunday. So I want to see, can this defense respond a little bit better? I want to see offensively who else going to step up besides Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Who else? Laquan Treadwell. I was high about Laquan Treadwell. I really was. When he came out of Ole Miss, and when the Saints was going through receiving problems, it looked like they was looking for a true number 1 to come in and play that spot. I wanted Laquan Treadwell. I did. because I knew a lot about him because he in the SEC. He was a big guy. He would go get the ball for you. Him and Chad Kelly, like they had a connection out there in Ole Miss. I want Laquan Treadwell. Well, now I see. I'm glad we don't have Laquan because Laquan really be struggling. He's not stepping up for you. What happened with Dalvin Cook? I don't understand the second half. This team got a lot of answers to answer in about 10 days before they get back on the field. I think Minnesota, I'm not going to put them as we overhype them or overrate them because I think they still are one of the most talented teams in football. But against bigger competition, as in you got the Rams, as in you got to play the Eagles, as in you got to play the Saints, and you still got to worry about your division. To me, they don't show up in certain games. They don't. Because even you can say, well, they beat the Saints last year, and here's the thing about that is I think to a degree, that second half, what the defense did spectacular that Drew Brees didn't pick them apart in. It just was defined by one play with Marcus Williams missing the tackle. That was it. That was it. So I don't know per se what to say about the Rams, but I think the Rams got some questions to answer real quick before they find themselves really behind the sticks going into the second quarter of the season. No, not the Rams, the Vikings. The Vikings, I'm sorry. The Vikings. I might have said the Rams a couple of times, but I'm talking about Minnesota, not the Rams. Now let's talk about the Rams. The Rams itself, best team in football right now. Can't sit here and lie. 4-0, they got some of the best young pieces in the game. They got Robert Woods, they got Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp. They got a nice offensive line, man. Like the cutback lanes was just going to the left side all night long. And they got that workhorse back there in TG30 right there, Todd Gurley. And then with the emergence of Jared Goff, it's going to take this team to another level. When you got confidence running, you got pieces all across the board, it's going to take this team to a new level. I'm telling you guys. And one thing I want y'all to remember right now is, now here's the thing that I think that's going to hurt the Rams in the near future. They got a lot of rental pieces on their team. They going in for a championship now. I think they can make a run between this year and next year, straight up. But they got a lot of rental pieces. Like a lot of these pieces, like Aqib Talib, and you got Ndamukong Suh, and a few other guys. Can't name them all at this moment in time, but a few. They had a lot of key pieces that are rentals. Just like a few years ago, when we think about the Kansas City Royals, they went all in for their championship, and they got it. And I think that's where you at right now with the LA Rams. I think the Rams are going all in for their championship. They know they're not going to be able to keep all these guys. And what's going to eventually happen is they're going to have to take a step back and probably sacrifice a few seasons. I think offensively they're still going to be there, but they might find themselves being in a position where the Saints be like not 7-9, but they're going to more be in a spot because they're still going to have Aaron Donald. They're still going to have to put some other pieces around Aaron Donald, what they have right now. They're going to lose a drop in talent to me on defense. I think the offense still going to score a ton of points, but defensively they're going to lose a big drop in talent. That's why I want to see who's going to, I think this is a rental type team right now. I told my brother this the other day. I said, the long-term solution out there in the NFC West got to be the San Francisco 49ers, as long as they stay healthy. If Jimmy G can come in there and start balling, if he stay healthy, you can add a receiver, you can add a tight end, you can add another running back. Then you look, to me, the best side on the offensive side got to be the offensive line. And to me, the best side on the defense side got to be the defensive line. Add some more linebackers and DBs. I think this team's going to be the long-term solution for a long time. That's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. But I think the Rams are for sure the next 2 years, they're going to be the division winner, if you ask me. But I think the long-term solution, definitely going to be San Francisco. But, end of the day, I was impressed with Jared Goff 5-touchdown performance. What a way to start week 4 off with a 5-touchdown performance from Jared Goff. Hoping we can end week 4 with Pat Mahomes doing something similar like that. My fantasy quarterback. So that's why I always talk high about Pat. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Saints and the Giants. All-time leader in this series. Giants lead the Saints 16-13. Last win for the Giants was back on September the 18th, 2016. I remember that was week 2 of the season. 16-13 was your final score. The year before that, was the shootout. Both games was only won by 3 points by each or, but that was the 7 touchdown game year before Saints beat the Giants back on November the 1st, 2015, 52-49. I remember that game very clear because there was a lot of scoring in that ball game. It's normally a fun game when these two teams do play together. But one thing I want to focus on about the Saints and um, the Giants is pretty much I went digged up a stat. Thank you, Pro Football Focus. I wanted to dig up something and wanted to look at some grades because I think this is going to determine who will win this game this Sunday. And it's going to be the Lions on both sides of the ball. Now, according to Pro Football Focus, the Giants' offensive line through week 3 ranked 23rd in the NFL. I mean, that's almost at the bottom. With an average grade of 60%. Okay, now New Orleans' offensive line through week 3 was ranked 8th. Now, they all ranked now with an average grade of 66%. But Jatiel Rivas had the lowest score with 40.9 that brought the score down a lot. So, yeah. But here's the thing. The Saints' defensive line is ranked 7th through week 3. And this is one thing I told my mother this past week is that one thing that I did see the Saints do well this past Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons was they was able to stop the run. They wouldn't let Atlanta get comfortable with that zone running scheme that they run so well. They was able to stop that, put a stop to that early, and that's when the deep balls started to come out. All hell started to break loose on the back end. I'm interested to see how they're going, and I think what's going to happen. This is the type of game for New Orleans and for the New Orleans defense to kind of wake up and be like, okay, I think we have arrived. Like, okay, we have finally showed up for the season. Now let's go make our run for our road to get back to Atlanta to win the Super Bowl. I think if you ask me, that's what I want to know. The Giants' offensive line haven't been good for years. I want to see people like Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan, Alex Okafor, all these people get hits, get sacks on the quarterback. This can bring the attitude back to this defense that they had last year. This is the things that you're going to need to bring back for this defense that you had last year. Slowly but surely, I think the ball is starting to tick in the right direction. I mean, you did something right last week. You took away the run from the Atlanta Falcons, but you couldn't stop the deep ball. I'm very excited, because here's another test for this for these DBs, man. Now you got Odell and Sterling Shepard. And, ain't no telling how they're going to use Saquon Barkley this week. He might line up a little receiver for you. Ain't no telling. How you going to respond from giving up 3 touchdowns to a rookie last week? Now, Saints are predicted to win this game by 3 points. Very, very predicted. Let's talk about the injury reports. All 3 questionables are injuries. Pete Manti, Marcus Davenport, and on IR is Patrick Robinson for the Saints. We got 4 questionables and 1 IR. Jonathan Stewart, Cody Lattimore, Stacy Coley, and Eli Apple are all questionable, and Keelan Clay is on IR for the New York Giants this week. 3:30 kickoff game. That's going to be a little late game. Let's talk a little bit about the stats so far for the year. Drew Brees, 104 completions, 129 incompletions, 1,078 yards, and 8 touchdowns on the year. Alvin Kamara, 37 rushes, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns on the year. Michael Thomas, 38 receptions, 398 yards, and 3 TDs on the year. Eli, 81 for 110, 800 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. Saquon, 46 carries, 216 yards, 2 TDs. And Odell, 24 receptions, 271 yards. Odell Beckham still don't have a touchdown catch through going into week 4. I do expect him to score in this game. I mean, it's just like I think they're gonna go take their shots at New Orleans this week, and I think if the DBs can respond back very, very high and well, I think New Orleans can find themselves in a good spot to overcome the storm, and they could potentially put this game away, winning this game by 2 touchdowns. I asked my mama last week. I said, "Ma, when we gonna see the Saints be the team to put themselves winning at least by 2 TDs or winning by 10 at least?" because I haven't seen it yet. Every game that they won so far has came down to the